What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. It is July 23rd, 2024. Gloomy day here in Kentucky, but I'm thankful it's cooled down. Past 2, maybe 3 days have been nice and cool, because we had nothing, but I swear it felt like a month, maybe 2, of fucking 90-degree heat, man. Which, in a way, it's a blessing. Got some good sweating out, and which is good for you, and less mowing the lawn. Here with my co-host, Lammy Chillmeister. So, today, we got a lot to cover. This may turn into 2 episodes. It may stay 1. It's going to be a little chaotic. Order out of chaos. Conspiracy compilation. Conspiracy combination. Conspiracy chaos. CC 33. It's going to be a little crazy, but let's get into it. So, I've heard twice now from a guy that I work with, the QAnon guy, which I take whatever he says with a grain of salt because he's obsessed with QAnon. And let me say this, if you're gonna say something, try to be precise on who, because I still don't know who, so I'm being just as guilty. He told me while we were working, because we sit and talk. We don't sit and talk, we work and talk. Usually our first 2 hours of the shift, we call it Peyton. And he said that Trump had some sort of stock deal that he was supposed to get paid like millions the day before the attempt on his life, you know. Give me just a second. The walls have ears. And he was supposed to get paid like millions off of some sort of fucking deal and the day before, and never got paid for it. Now you see this a lot with any major high impact event like 9/11, the beer bug 19. There's always a huge exchange of money, or if they know something is going to happen, or they think something is going to happen to a particular former president, they might not pay. I've heard that these are the same groups of people who did a large exchange of money during 9/11. Not sure if my friend meant Silverstein, but there was a lot of people who was exchanging money around the day before 9/11, like the Pentagon missing, $3 trillion, Silverstein doing some insurance shadiness. The one day on 9/11, he doesn't show up to his restaurant in the building when he literally goes there like every morning for breakfast. So, found that interesting. Another thing too, I just now heard about there's a multiple shooter theory on the whole Trump assassination attempt. A water tower shooter. Have you guys heard this? And I actually watched, there's footage that goes along with it, that shows that there's someone on the water tower in the nearby area. I'd have to look at an overhead map and check it out. You can see him walking around and people are recording it and like saying, hey, there's somebody up there. Shots go off. You see a flash from the water tower from whoever was up there. I found that interesting. Could that have been Secret Service? I don't know. Could it be multiple shooters, like I believe, with like kind of like the whole JFK assassination thing? Possibly. And this person made reports, I think on live television, was talking about a shooter possibly being on the water tower. And while I was doing Peyton yesterday, I brought up something because we were all talking and being typical tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, just talking about all sorts of different things about the assassination shit. What was I gonna say? Shit, my mind went blank. Which reminds me, L-theanine. What was I going to say? Oh, and this happens with, I'm not surprised, I'm no fool, but this happens with all these major high impact events of, where is all the footage? Everybody has a fucking cell phone. Everybody in that audience is holding up their phones. If not everybody, don't take me literal, but you know what I'm saying, at least 60, at least, and that's going on the low end, at least 60% of these people at this rally have their phones out recording. And we have only had like 2, maybe 3 angles of the shooting. And my buddy, he did make a good, I always do that just so people know I'm not popping pills. He did make a good point that it's technically evidence, but I mean, it's still, you would expect more footage to be out. That's it on the water tower. So, Secret Service, the head of Secret Service, that idiot woman who is implementing DEI, first of all, she's been getting grilled out by Congress, which I never usually watch because it's hours and hours and hours long. If you want to watch that type of shit, go watch NPC show. I work third shift, so I'm usually asleep when it's going on anyways. I mean, I would love doing that type of shit, like watching Congress grill out Fauci or watching Marjorie Taylor Greene grill out, so-and-so, whatever. I would love watching that, and I know it's all bread and circus, but it'd be good content, and it's entertaining. But yeah, head of Secret Service, she's been getting grilled out. I think actually Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the people grilling her out. So it's official, she stepped down. I'm sure it was one of those whole deals of you can step down and save your money, or you can get fired. It's up to you. So that's a small win, and I always do consider small wins. A lot of people, they're like, you get a lot of black-pilled people that are like, they need to be in jail. Well, yeah, they do need to be in jail, but that's not going to happen. Just take the small win and just be happy. It's a small win. Small wins are small wins. So, I found out more since we're talking about this subject. The Secret Service, I covered this on one of my previous episodes about the whole assassination attempt. So go check out those episodes. I put out like 3 of them, I think, talking about this subject. If you guys remember, the Secret Service were inside of the sloped roof building. First of all, that was one of their excuses of, we don't want anybody up there. The roof is sloped. It could be dangerous. It was not that fucking sloped. And this ties in, I'm going to go on a little side rant too. But the reason why they were inside of the building instead of on top of the building, they said it was hot. I'm sorry, but I grew up helping my dad tar our roof. We grew up in a double wide trailer in a ghetto ass part of Florida called Hudson, Florida. Pasco County, baby. It gets fucking 80-degree summers and shit. And we would have rainy days and we'd get leaks, you know. So on a day that it wasn't raining, I had to go up on top of my roof and help my dad tar the roof of any leaks. That's part of the fucking job. My dad would have laughed at me if I would have went, "Daddy, can I go in? It's hot." He would have laughed at me. And this is me, a child, you know. You are grown-ass Secret Service men. You know what the job entails. Like, you are there to protect whoever it is your mission to protect. I don't care if it's hot. Another thing, too, this is just common sense. I work at a grocery store. We have cart guys who are out here for 8 hours a day. We have heat. We have training on heat that they have to take to learn about, hey, this is what it feels like when you're about to have a heat stroke. Also, it tells them, take 5. They could have had at least one person on the roof the whole time and just do it in shifts. Take 5, go inside, cool down, drink some water. I mean, when me and my wife go hiking, we got these little fan necklaces that blow on us. We bring plenty of water. Bring you an ice pack. Like, there are ways to avoid this. Have a cooler up on the roof. So if you start getting hot, I ain't gonna judge you. Dip your fucking head in. Have some cold rags in that cooler. Cool off, man. It's ridiculous, dude. So they all just got hot and just went inside. No one doing shifts, nothing like that. I thought that was fucking nuts. So, I also heard this, and I don't know too much about it. And we were talking about it yesterday with my buddies, but I also heard it on Union of the Unwanted. There's a guy on there. I do like him, and he's a cool content creator. I think he does Slow News Day. And I'm not trying to be mean, but he sounds like he's drunk all the time, which people could say that about me. I'm fine with that. I got Dane Bramage, you know. He was talking about, he believes that one of the Secret Service came out behind the stands and actually shot the firefighter who died. The official story was that a bullet hit one of the glass bulletproof teleprompter things on the stands, and it split the bullet, turned into basically shrapnel, 2 pieces of metal flying in 2 different directions behind the former president, hit 2 people, one of them died. But there is a theory going on that one of the Secret Service members like accidentally shot the firefighter who died. Now, I'm not being disrespectful. This is just the channel's Conspiracy Corner podcast. We talk about conspiracies. And by the way, we are still in the fog of war stage of there is so much coming out. We are learning so much. Fog of war. This is going to happen whether you like it or not. Because I'm sure I'm waiting for comments one day of someone listening to an older episode and going, "You said this," and hey, I'm trying to figure it out just as much as you. But this reminded me of, and this is like, it's a fact, but it ties in with a conspiracy on JFK, that the Secret Service were literally pulled an all-nighter. Like, apparently the whole Secret Service team, the night before JFK was supposed to roll into Dealey Plaza in his convertible, which there's Mandela effects about that. Go check that shit out. they were all getting drunk as skunks and hadn't even like went to sleep the night before. So they were either still smashed, still drunk, or like hungover, like super fucking bad, to the point, they were smelt like distilleries, fucking sweating out alcohol, puking, like having to take puke breaks and shit. And there's actually a theory that one of the Secret Service was drunk and accidentally shot JFK. That is one of the theories. Now, don't jump on me in the comments and say that's what I believe. I'm open to all of it. It could be, and that's why it's still classified, because the Secret Service was like so ashamed of it that they've never like really like properly admitted that, hey, we accidentally killed the president because we were drunk and incompetent. And that's the difference between then and now. Like back then you had radio, television, and newspaper. It was much more easier to get out propaganda and brainwash the masses. I don't even know, was Operation Mockingbird going on during the JFK assassination? Because that would be a big part of it too. Also, what was I gonna say? Brain fart. Also, there's multiple theories, man, that I still don't know what I believe. Like, I've never covered JFK because, for one, it's so fucking dense, dude. I've talked about JFK here and there. I tried to do episodes based on, like, actual themes and shit. If I covered JFK, I swear it would probably be, like, a 20, maybe 30 part series, and I'm not willing to invest that much time in my life to one conspiracy. I consider myself a jack of all trades, and I've barely even actually delved into the, well, I wouldn't say barely, but not as many as other people. I have not delved into JFK as much as anyone else because, like, it's so fucking dense. Because, I mean, there's multiple theories that, like, like, Jackie Onassis took out a little Derringer, little purse pistol and popped him and then smacked the back of his head real hard. And if you look at the footage, with that narrative in your head, it kind of looks like that. Then I've also heard that it was the driver. He turned around and went pop, pop, And with that narrative in your head, if you look at the footage, that's what it looks like. So, two different narratives. I could believe both of them because it looks like that to me on both of them. And people go, well, why would Jackie do it? Because she was pissed that he was banging Marilyn Monroe and he was a horn dog, a sex addict, a drug fiend. And I love JFK. JFK and Lincoln, two of my favorite presidents. But JFK was a scumbag, bro. I still love him, but he was a fucking sex fiend and a drug addict. So why wouldn't a wife be mad at your husband if he cheats on you all the time? I heard, could be just rumor and shit, that JFK was such a fucking horn dog that he had a different woman for every month. He had to have a new woman every month. But I don't know. The whole thing is fucking crazy. So that's kind of it for the whole deep conspiracy stuff. We're going to get into, and I know you hate it, but it's important to conspiracy. This, from here on out, will be the politics segment of the show. And we're still going to delve into a little conspiracy here and there, because it all ties together. So stay tuned for the politics side of the show. So there's a conspiracy going on right now. Is Joe Biden even alive? And I've delved into it a tiny bit. I'm no genius on this one, but I went, interesting. So I started delving in. Quartering has been covering it a lot. The Quartering, or if you're Sam Tripoli, you call him the Quarterling. So Biden officially has stepped down, or someone made him step down and step down for him. So he put out this tweet of an official letter. Now people are saying the signature does not look like Joe Biden's signature. So that's strange. By the way, how weird is it? 2024, I feel like we live in fucking clown world. How weird is it that our presidents are like just tweeting on the internet? Like, no more. I remember back in the day, like, my dad was a huge George Bush Jr. fan, and he used to, like, literally, the president's gonna speak tonight at 5 p.m., you know, and he would, like, get popcorn ready and turn the TV on and wait for him to come on live TV and give a presidential address to something, usually war, especially with Junior. But now presidents are just like, yeah, I'm stepping down, tweet it out, good enough. Am I the only one? Maybe I'm just getting old, you know, but it's like, does anyone else find this fucking weird? There's some excitement. Yeah, that's part of podcasting in a parking lot. So then Kamala is what I'm hearing is who Joe Biden is basically handing the crown over to. That she is the next presidential nominee. Now, she held some rally, and this ties in with the whole, is Joe Biden still alive? She held a rally, and apparently Joe Biden, like, called in while she was doing the rally, and they put him on speakerphone over the intercom or whatever. And a lot of people are saying it doesn't even sound like him. I don't know. You be the judge. Now, I want to get into something. This is politics. I have always, like, when I was younger and first got into conspiracy theories, I thought, first of all, I just called them the Illuminati. The enemy. The Illuminati, lizard people, whatever. The older I've gotten and the more I've studied, I do not think that it is like, maybe at the very top, it's like one dude controlling it all. One ring to rule them all. Oh, I forgot my Lord of the Rings ring today. That sucks. It's okay. But, and I've always heard it was some person called Pindar, you know? Have you ever looked into that? It goes into the lizard people, that it's a gigantic albino lizard that sits on a throne and he rules all of the world and universe and shit. But the older I've gotten, I think at the very top, it's like a very small amount of people, like maybe some sort of council. But at the lower ends, especially politicians, I believe that it's factions, man. Because Joe Biden, if he's still alive, apparently handed over the crown to Kamala. And, by the way, did you see, like, people are freaking out? Like, her name's not pronounced like that. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say it however the fuck I want. Obama does not support. And apparently, like, he's come out and said it. Like, I do not support Kamala being the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. So, this is why I believe that it's factions. Now, maybe he wanted Joe to stay in because I have the theory that, and Obama has even said it in interviews, that he would love to do a third presidential term sitting in a basement somewhere talking into someone's earpiece and being the puppet master. And I actually believe that's what he was doing with Joe Biden. I believe that obviously Joe Biden is a fucking puppet, but Obama is the puppet master. That Joe Biden's term, it was literally Obama's third term. But yeah, he does not support Kamala. So I'm wondering if he wanted to keep Joe as the nominee, and then they would just steal the election again, which is still a possibility. I still think that's highly probable. They did it once, they got away with it. Why wouldn't they do it again? But yeah, this is why I believe there's factions. And you can disagree with me in the comments. That's cool. Just be respectful. But I believe there's factions that they fight within each other. Now, this I want to talk about too, because I do not watch local news unless it's on, because I live with my mother-in-law and she watches local news. But I don't go out of my way to watch it. And I get people in the comment section who are always like, don't pay attention to local news. Or I have friends who are like, don't pay attention to local news, it's all propaganda. And it's like, well, first of all, I'm a conspiracy channel, so I have to watch local news and take one for the team. People would be like, well, it's all propaganda. You're not learning anything. It's fake news. You're right. But the enemy shows their hand through the news. And once you figure that out, you can almost decode the news. First of all, the news is usually the complete opposite of what they're saying. Second off, it's like 5D chess. They talk about, because they already want to implant it into people's heads and get it into the consciousness of everyone, hence propaganda. They tell you what they're doing, what their plans are. They'll tell you their next move, and you can figure it out as long as you're using discernment. So pray for discernment. God will tell you what's going on. You can watch it, and by the way, don't put yourself down. You're not that weak-minded that the news is just going to be like a swirl and brainwash you like the Riddler from Batman. It's going to be okay. You can watch it. You're a big girl. Put your big girl panties on. Go check that episode out. Shameless plug. But I've been hearing it through my wife and through local Kentucky news, because I live in Kentucky, that Beshear they're trying to, or they already have, he is like the nominee for vice president for the next. So it'd be Kamala's nominee for president, Beshear is nominee for vice president. Because that's all the local news is talking about right now. And it's pretty simple. Kentucky hates Beshear, and they hate Mitch McConnell. They're both scumbags, in our opinions. So I just figured I'd let you know about that. President Biden, if he is alive, supposedly is in a hospital in Vegas. Like, I don't know. I heard something crazy, like they rented out like half the hospital just for President Biden because he has COVID. And he has actually said in previous statements that if illness had befallen him, he would step down from running for president. And imagine that illness has befallen him, which we all knew, or at least had our theories, that he had dementia. He's had multiple brain surgeries back when brain surgery was still in its archaic form. Like Joe Biden, I don't know if you all know this, literally has rubber tubing in his brain. Speak of the devil, dude. McConnell's the same fucking way. I don't know if he had brain surgeries, but he's literally fallen and had multiple head injuries. And as someone who has had multiple head injuries, that shit fucks you up. I've went into it before on this channel about my head injuries and shit. I'm not gonna dive super deep into it, but that shit has permanent effect, dog. Give me just a second. But yeah, Biden has COVID, and that gets into a whole nother thing. I'm not even sure. I think I'm like half terrain theorist, half germ theorist. I ain't gonna lie. Look into that whole thing, terrain theory and shit. There's a lot of shadiness with Rockefeller medicine, viruses, all that. I don't even know if they're fucking real. But yeah, he's got COVID. But here's a little side conspiracy. I told you we're still going to be in conspiracy, so I hope you guys didn't just turn off. Biden has had a Parkinson's specialist come to the White House and visit 8 times. Now, my theory was, and everyone that I listen to and the circles I run in, we were all thinking he had dementia or brain damage in general because of the multiple brain surgeries and shit. It could be Parkinson's though. Like, I have an uncle who has Parkinson's, and because one of the points people were making, well, if he has Parkinson's, he should be like super shaky and shit. And this is obviously layman's terms. This is not medical advice. So, but I have an uncle who has Parkinson's, and he does get a little shaky, but his medicine pretty much keeps it down. The way I was described of what Parkinson's is your brain is like, it's like a neurological thing. So your brain's like misfiring. So it causes confusion, like super bad forgetfulness. Like, I went up to stay the night at my uncle's because my other uncle, his brother, had died. So we were there for a funeral. And my Uncle Bob, the one with Parkinson's, has like he reminds me of Doug Stanhope. He looks, acts, and jokes around like Doug Stanhope. And we were watching Rocky while we were getting ready for the funeral, just watching Rocky. And it was like the training scenes between Apollo Creed and Sylvester Stallone. And my Uncle Bob like hobbles in there, you know, shaky and shit. And he starts cracking jokes about how Sylvester Stallone and Apollo Creed, they like oiling each other up and like, I don't know, licking each other's buttholes. Like something just out there, dude. Shoving hamsters up their ass. Something crazy. But he told the joke, I kid you not, like 4 times in a fucking row. To the point, I was laughing each time, but I was looking at my brother Joseph, and he just gave me that look like Parkinson's, bro. So, it is a mental thing along with a physical thing. So it could be Parkinson's. You know, and maybe that's why the Parkinson's doctor came around 8 times to figure out, is that what this is? Or is it dementia? Is it brain damage? You know. These are just my theories. Can I just say something, though? And I don't care. You guys can judge me or not. It's up to you. I really don't care. Can I just say that I feel bad for Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden? If they weren't both, like, such Illuminati scumbags, like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel bad for them. And it reminds me, people can go, well, they're evil, they need to be executed and thrown in jail. I don't know, I kind of believe the whole you need to be competent to stand trial and shit, and I seriously don't think Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden are actually competent to stand trial. Do you guys remember a case, and I compare it to this case, And maybe we'll do a whole episode on it, covering it, or do a segment. But there was this Nazi who had gotten caught. I think this was around 2015, 2016. Give me a second, I got a wish. But, I don't know. Basic thing was, they had found a Nazi, and he was like 95 years old. They put him on trial, and he literally was being pushed into a wheelchair. He had the whole old man face of, He kept falling asleep during the trial. When he was awake, he didn't even know what was going on, because he was just so gone. And people were like, yeah, we got one. We got a fucking Nazi. And I honestly felt bad for the guy. I'm like, I don't know. I just felt bad for him. I didn't know what we should do with him. Honestly, I almost wanted to just shove him in a nursing home and just give him applesauce till he dies. Like, he wasn't competent to stand trial. And there's just this part of me, and you guys can say I'm a pussy, you guys can say whatever, but I just feel bad for Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell. I've gotten to the point because, one, I believe you should pray for your enemies, but I just feel sad. I feel bad for both of them. And I do have to say, especially with QAnon, man, they're saying that, like, Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell are like clones, and anytime they have like health issues or freeze up, you know, that it's because they're a clone, their clone is breaking down. And trust me, I believe in clones. It's already been proven with Dolly the sheep and shit. But the older I've gotten, I try not to just grab at the most entertaining conspiracy. I try to think logically, like, well, what scientifically or medically could be wrong with them and shit. I think he's just got like Parkinson's, dementia, brain damage, maybe all three, you know. Doesn't mean that he's a clone breaking down. And these Q-tards, like my friend, they contradict themselves. 1 second he's telling me Biden's a clone. Next second he's telling me that it's an actor in a mask. Next second, he's telling me that, I don't know, a body double. Like, make up your fucking mind. Can you guys even straighten out what the fuck you guys believe? You know? I don't know. I think these are just two sick old men. So, next segment. We are in overtime, Lemmy, sorry. Don't need a lawsuit. Overtime, baby. The Quartering has brought up, so shout out to the Quartering. If you don't know about his channel, go check it out and tell him who sent you. That way, maybe he'll give me a shout out too. Daddy's got bills to pay. The Quartering has been warning Republicans. By the way, I'm gay for RFK. I'm RFK all the way, baby. But it would not bother me in the slightest to see Trump get in again. Because I already know RFK's not going to fucking win. I already know. Still voting for him. I'm going down with the ship. Like the Titanic. The violins. I'm going down with the ship. But Trump's... I would rather see Trump in. That being said, the Quartering has made a whole video about the news. The mainstream news is broadcasting that Trump's going to win. Trump's going to win. This is a psyop. They're talking about a red wave. This is a psyop. The reason the mainstream news is telling you this, because they want you guys to be comfy little Republican conservative rednecks. And they want you to be lazy and get drunk the night before and not wake up early that morning to go out and vote. They want you to get comfy and go, well, if there's such a red wave, I could drink this 12-pack of beer and I could sleep in instead of going out and vote. One vote ain't gonna hurt. That's what they want to get in your head. It's a psyop. Go out and fucking vote. Preferably RFK. But Trump too. Vote Trump, man. Trump, RFK, either one, dude. We have got to get these scumbags out. And if they're already trying to pull the psyop off of there's going to be a red wave, so don't go out and vote, just stay home, be lazy, it's going to make it easier for them to steal it again. So, keep that in mind. But the way the Democratic Party is splitting up into factions, and it's still uncertain whether President Biden's still alive, this is a good wrap-up for this episode. Whether it's Kamala, whether it's Beshear, what's going on, all this confusion, it makes me nervous, and I have not kept this out of my mind. A lot of QAnon people are saying it, but also a lot of people that run in the same circles as me, because you guys know I'm anti-Q. I'm still scared that there might not be an election. So keep that in mind. And the way that the Democratic Party is acting, there's parts of the chess pieces that the way they're playing this game, I don't know, for one, if they can rig it again. So they might just not have an election at all, which will send America into fucking civil war, in my opinion. Not trying to fearmonger, but I still keep that in mind. And I told my wife that, and we had this chilling moment today before I came to work. I'm like, honey, there's still a part of me. Roseanne Barr talks about it. Tim Pool has talked about it on his show. There might not be a fucking election. And I actually genuinely fear that this year, this election season. So, I don't know. Keep your fingers crossed, pray, light a candle, cast a spell, do good vibrations. I'm feeling them good vibrations. Do what you gotta do. You do that voodoo that you do so well. That's Abe signing off. I love you all. And Lammy, my new co-host. Y'all have a good day. God bless.